is the best exercise that you can do for the aging body and is at the foundation of every movement that we make. So g'day, it is Peter, Sal and Sue here. Hello everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
Peter.
I'm excited for this topic. Are you excited?
Yes.
Very.
Yeah. Look, most people will exercise because they want to get fitter or they want to get stronger, but there is that side benefit to it because what happens is we improve our health, how we age and our well-being. So, you get bang for your buck basically when you do exercise. And so exercise is all about what happens not just physically to us and what we can see, it's what's going on inside our body. And like anything you can't see, we often undervalue it or underestimate what's going on. And when we can't see it, sometimes we think it's not working for us. And so when we start an exercise program and if we don't see something happening, we can go, well, hang on, this isn't working. But the reality is there's probably things going on that are internal in our body that we're getting benefits from. So, sometimes it just takes that little bit of extra time to stick at it till we see that external aspect of it starting to happen. So one of the internal things that we mentioned the other week was that it can help that slow down that impact of 40 different chronic diseases or illnesses on our body. So, and that's a pretty massive, massive benefit that sometimes we just don't see. And what happens is it's not until we actually start to, let's say, start to have something highlighted. So, maybe there's a diagnosis for us that says, you're potentially at risk of diabetes right now, or you're pre-diabetic. And so then we go, oh, okay, I need to do something about it. And that might be that trigger for us. But it's so much easier for us if we start to do something now and that we counteract all of those 40 different diseases that could creep up on us. And of course, today, what we want to talk about is this exercise program that you can do that will help not just how we're aging, but also our health and also just how we move in everyday life. And look, there's so much information out there. And I know my daughter-in-law said this to me the other day. She said, I was reading something the other day and she said, there's just so much information. I'm just overwhelmed by the whole thing. So what am I supposed to do? She's just hit that magic age of the 40s. And one of the things we know about the 40s is we start to lose our muscle around that age and it starts to decline. So one of the things that can happen with us is that when we go to start an exercise program, what happens is we get told, hey, go walking. Now, I love walking, but the simplest, the biggest thing that we can do for our bodies is to strength training. So scientific research shows us it is at the foundation of movement. So if our muscles don't function, our joints don't function, our nervous system isn't functioning properly, then that walking that you love and enjoy so much, it's not going to happen. We need to stay strong for that. Girls, do you want to jump in before I go any further?
I do. I want to actually, well, there were some percentages that I looked at. And women aged between 45 and 64, the percentage of people strength training is only 18%.
I know.
Once you head over 64 to the 74 age range, it's down to 11%. And while we know all the health benefits that comes from it, and you were talking about those a minute ago, Peter, the other two I want to add in is that it's going to increase your positivity, so mentally, and it's going to improve your immunity.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to get sick as much. And we know from one of our clients, she actually told us a couple of years ago, we were having a bit of a chit chat, and she said since she'd been working out with us or just doing strength training, not that she's worked, she's with our client, she was one of our clients, she's been with us about 10 years. And she said, I can't remember the last time that I got the winter flu.
Oh, yes, I remember that conversation. Yes.
Yes. And she puts it down to her strength training.
Yeah. So one of the things that actually happens is as we're aging, we experience this decline in what they call the neuromuscular activity, which is basically the communication between our nervous system and our muscles. And so what that means is we experience a decline in muscle mass, strength, mobility, power, and the likes. So, and that in turn impacts what we can do in everyday life, but it also impacts the things that we love and enjoy doing and puts it at greater risk of falls and injuries. So it is the single thing that we can do to actually start improving where we're at. Now, I did mention, being over the age of 40 and that muscle mass. And I want to clarify, when they say that we lose, 1 to 2% muscle mass per year from the age of 40 on, when they talk about muscle mass, they're talking about size. But the science actually shows that we also have what's going on with the muscle is strength and power too. And so we never hear about the strength and power aspect of it. So size is only one small component. And so those percentages, I believe, are around, when it comes to strength, 2 to 4%. And when it comes to power, it's 4 to 8%. So unless we're strength training, it's not just about that external look, how that muscle looks. It's about the strength that we have in our body and the power that we have in our body, so that's going to impact how we walk, how we stand, how we can stop ourselves from falling.
Absolutely. And can I just add there, Peter, I have a client that I work with. I've spoken about him numerous times. He has Parkinson's disease. And so our main goal over the past 2-3 years was just strength training with him. And it's purely not to make him stronger, but to keep him strong. And my goal was always to keep him strong, that if he had a fall, he'd be able to get himself up. And 2-3 weeks ago, he had a fall. We were out at a park. He had a fall, and before I knew it, he was standing.
Yeah, that's good, isn't
because
it?
I've gone into that. I have to help him up, but he's standing and brushing himself off and saying, I'm fine. And I made a big point of, and he understands, like, he's just amazing, this man. But I made a big point of saying to him, this is one of the reasons why we keep strength training, because if you have that fall, you can get up. Because he's only got a tiny little wife. So if he did have a fall at home, I think it'd be a struggle for her to get him up off the floor.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those moments in life where you go, and this is why you strength train.
Yeah, absolutely. Sue, you look like you were going to throw something in there into the mix.
Sorry, Sue.
Oh, no. Well, that's okay. You both covered a couple of the points that I was going to talk about, but I agree that you know, the National Institute of Health, and it could be, I think, in the UK, was saying that, you know, we lose our mobility as we get older. That's where the strength training comes in as well. Yeah. And, you know, that leads us to, if we're not keeping our bodies strong, we're going to get to the stage where we can't stay living at home independently.
Yeah.
We're relying on other people. So, you know myself, I don't want to be a burden on my children to have to look after me. I've just had an acquaintance who's had a stroke. Now, she hasn't really been living a very healthy lifestyle, and now it's going to fall back onto her children, who are both married with kids of their own and working full time and everything else, to be there for her. And I think that we need to remember that if we want to remain independent living as long as possible, we need to have strong bodies. And I don't know if you saw in the paper the other day, but there was a 73-year-old woman at the Tamworth Music Festival, and she can deadlift 80 kilos and she can lift a 45-kilo ball. Now, she started when she was 55, so she's been doing it for a while, but what she said was, I want to do it because I use these muscles every day. And that comes back to your functional fitness program, because it's transferable strength. We're strengthening our muscles so that we can function properly doing our everyday activities. And I think that people forget the correlation between the two. We can do the walking, we can do everything else, but it comes back to being strong first to be able to do all those other things.
Yeah, Sue, I love that point. I can't remember. I was listening to Chef Babette, I think her name is, and I think she turned 72, and she was going to do 72 push-ups. And what she said is that if you come in and you do those 72 push-ups with me, she's talking full push-ups, then I'm going to give you a free meal. So I don't know how many people turned up. I think it was 72. I can't remember 73. She has a plant-based restaurant over in the US. So, and I mean, she didn't start training until later in her life. She has a fascinating story that everybody should actually check out. But I do love, Sue, that you mentioned that aspect of mobility. So that neuromuscular activity that I was talking about earlier, if you think about it in its simplistic form, you know, the neurons or the nervous system fires up. So it tells it to fire up. Then what it does is it tells it the muscles to contract. And then what it says is, you know, joints now engage. And so quite often we can think that it's about specific mobility training or specific flexibility training or specific balance training or the likes, you know, whereas strength training can do all of those things for you if you're following the right type of program and you've got the right, you know, protocols behind that as well. So yeah, really like that. So it is about keeping those muscles strong, having the endurance behind them, you know, having the power and just that flexibility and mobility. And if you think about it, one of the wonderful things about having a strong body is the impact that it has on your posture. You do stand taller. And when you stand taller, it means that you're going to engage your core muscles a little bit more, which means, and I know that every girl alive is always talking about, you know, I hate that little podgy bit that I have at the front of my body. But when we're standing tall, we're going to engage those core muscles, which is going to help us a little bit more. And what that in turn is going to do is mean that we've got better balance, so that we're not at risk of those falls that we were talking about as well too. So, you know, it's increased coordination as well. So, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Sal?
No, you guys are covering it all so far.
Yeah, okay.
The one thing I do want to say, because you were talking about the older ladies, Sue, and yourself talking about the older ladies, remember that the loss of your muscle is reversible. So you can gain that strength back. You know, so when you do hit your 40s, your 50s, and, you know, if you were doing a strength training program, you know, maybe prior to getting married, prior to having children, whatever it may be, and you haven't done it for, you know, 10, 20 years, it is reversible.
I was also thinking about like the number of ladies that we have that play golf and tennis and bowling even. And so if you think about it, that training that we're doing actually improves the performance that you have in those activities in life as well too. Yeah, I mean, you could be playing soccer or hockey or who knows what sport you want to take up. But you know, maybe you played hockey when you were younger and you're thinking, I'd like to get back to that in my 60s. So, you know, just starting a training program might actually get you there. And that'd be pretty amazing.
Well, I just noticed something yesterday. I'm not really what you would call a strong swimmer. And like when I was 50, I went along twice a week and did some laps at the local pool with some girls I was working with. But I wasn't, you know, I didn't ever feel that I was very powerful. But yesterday I was in the pool with my grandsons and I just said, now you sit over there and just wait. Their parents were watching them, but I wanted to have a go at some laps. And I could actually feel that my shoulders and my arms was so much more powerful because I haven't swum for quite some time. So I really noticed the difference. And I thought, oh, yes, I've got that power and strength in my upper body and my legs, so are kicking away. And so by doing the strength training, that's what I meant before, that helps me with the swimming. It helps me with my running because it makes my legs stronger. It makes my body more, you know, stronger to run. And I think that I think social media and people are starting to get to it, that strength training is important, whereas we've been talking about it for years. But a lot of people don't really understand what's involved with it. And I just want to make one quick point, and then I've done all my points. But I have a friend who, you know, she struggles, but she does do strength training. And she said, I don't necessarily enjoy it, but when I'm doing it, I find that I feel stronger in my body, but my mind also feels stronger. And I feel I can do much more when I'm doing a strength workout. I feel that I'm stronger in my mind and more capable of doing things. And I thought that was interesting because it is true, actually.
It is.
I really
and it's not
like
just
that.
Can I just say too, sorry, Peter, I just want to say too, we spoke about this last week. It's not just like your sport too, it's traveling, because we have a lot of ladies that travel. You know, and one of our ladies did tell us that the squats helped her while she was traveling around Australia because she was able to use the public toilets. And that's what I believe women squat. But yeah, it's traveling as well. Sorry, Peter.
No, it's okay. And it's completely gone from my mind anyway. So
might have been about the strong mind.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Strength training.
No, all I was going to say is I love that what it does for her is it changes her attitude. That's fantastic. I know that when I'm strength training, I feel like 10 foot tall and bulletproof, you know. I don't necessarily love the feel of it. I don't necessarily enjoy it either, but I know how important it is. And I always focus on that fact that I feel powerful when I'm doing it. And I'm actually making sure that what I do is progress through it. So that's one of the important aspects of training, is to not stay where you are. It's always to challenge yourself. And I think, you know, we bang on about goals in the fitness industry and all types of industries. You know, you got to have something to aim for. But it is so important from a training perspective, you know, to look at, where am I weakest? What is the thing that I cannot do? What is this biggest struggle for me? So that you can actually go, well, here's where I'm at. This is my baseline. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually progress. Here's my target. This is what I want to do. But I want to make sure that I'm staying safe. I want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly so that I don't put myself at risk, and that I can continue to improve, get stronger, and enjoy all of those things that I want to do in life. So you may not love it at the time, but think about what power, what strength you're getting in your body and what it means to you long term. And I did say this to my daughter-in-law when we were talking yesterday, and I said, you know what? I know in your 40s that you don't really want to think about living independently, but here's what I'm going to put in your mind. What is happening with your mum and dad right now? And she said, oh, okay. And I said, keep that in your mind. So when you're actually exercising, when you're moving around, when you're feeling those little niggles and those aches and pains, they're the signs, they're the warning signs that are telling you that this is what's going to happen in life unless you start to do something now.
And it's so true. It's
Absolutely.
so true.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up, girls. Any words of advice before we finish up?
My word of advice with strength training is that do not look at strength training. If it scares you, more than likely you're thinking about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We love you, Annie.
What you're thinking. We do. And that's what you're thinking strength training is. Strength training, you only need to start out with, say, 2 sessions a week, 2 to 3 sessions a week. It doesn't have to be crazy. Remember, if you have not done it before, you're starting from the beginning. And even if you have done it before, wipe your mind of, well, I got to this level when I did it last time. That's where I need to start from, because you don't. You can start back from the bottom again.
And the other thing, Sal, about that is, remember, you can strength train without building bulky muscles. We're not going to end up looking like Arnold. And you can actually just strength training for strength and power and endurance. It doesn't necessarily have to be about, you know, all those fine definitions in those muscles. You know, I see those gorgeous girls on Instagram, you know, those lovely 50 and 60-year-olds, and, you know, see all that definition. But that may not be your target. Your target may simply be just to be stronger and be ordinary folk, just like we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And you can start just with your body weight, then you add your weights in, and then you progress from there. But like we've always said before, if you don't know, I mean, there's heaps of things on the internet, and I look up, you know, workouts myself and do them. But I've got a bit of training behind me, so I understand how I need to do things. I think if you're starting from scratch, you really need to get some professional assistance in coming up with a program that's going to work for you, showing you how to do the workouts. And don't say, oh, I can't do that because I've got a bad leg, or I've got a bad this, or I've got sore here, because there's always alternate ways you can do the exercise. And that's where a professional would be able to come in and say, well, okay, you may not physically be able to do it because of an injury. This is the alternate you can do to still get that strength benefit, and you're not missing out. So you don't even use any excuses not to do it. So my advice would be, if you haven't done it before or you haven't done it for a while, go and have, find a PT or strong, healthy women. We go through everything with you, how to do the exercises. Peter does the videos on how to do alternates and the exercises as well. So, you're learning the correct way rather than just hopping on the internet, and which is okay, at least you're doing something, but you're more prone to getting injured because you're not sure, you're not perhaps doing the exercise the correct way.
Look, I want to finish up with just saying, being someone who witnessed at a very young age the decline of my grandmother. I lived with my grandparents and my mum, and seeing how life was taken away from them, it's just had that massive impact on myself as a person. And I know that I don't want that for me. And I personally can see how, my 50s are different to my 40s, my 60s are different to my 50s, that I keep changing and I keep evolving. But I know that it is up to me. I need to do it. And so I would say to you, if you feel that you are becoming weaker and that you're noticing you've got the wobbles up and that you're starting to feel that life is getting a little bit more difficult for you, then the one thing you can do for yourself is to do some strength training. So it's okay to get out there and walk, but in order to keep walking, you need to have the basics, and that comes from strength training. This is the foundation of movement. It was a big one today. All right, ladies, we are going to finish up. Thanks for joining me, Sal and Sue.
Thank you for having us, as always. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.